first Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday, I want to welcome you. This is a pretty fun webinar series we started earlier this year just to get the word out about what we do at Volunteer West Virginia. And each month we explore a different topic and we do trainings, networking, and then fun webinars too. And so far it's been a really great program, and I feel like we almost have our own TV show, we like to say. So if you're interested in our upcoming topics, we just released our schedule for the rest of the year. Next month is going to be Go Outside and Volunteer. That's going to be a really good one. We're going to be talking about all kinds of ways you can volunteer in the state. And then in August, we're going to relax and have fun with some West Virginia trivia. Christina does trivia on the side, so she's really good at that, and I'm glad she's going to share her trivia skills with us. And then September is National Preparedness Month. So we're going to welcome Gina back and talk a little bit about that. So if you enjoy today's webinar, you'll probably enjoy September's too. So make sure you sign up and register at our website before you forget. So today's topic is all about CERT, and those are Community Emergency Response Teams. So if this is your first time hearing about CERT, we're going to explain it. And then we're going to meet 3 amazing CERT programs throughout the state that have helped during COVID-19. And then to close it out, we're going to talk about some other ways to volunteer during a disaster if this webinar has really inspired you today. So to get started, I'm going to pass this along to Gina, and she's going to tell you all a little bit about the Community Emergency Response Team, aka CERT, and just give us a basic overview of the program. So Gina, are you there? Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, go ahead with the video.
All right.
We teach people confidence. The confidence that should a situation arise, that you have the capabilities to react to that situation.
It's really empowering to know that you're what's going to be there first, you're what's going to comfort the people.
Our volunteers are made up of really everyone. They are some of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet. They're all different, and they all want to be part of our CERT program for many different reasons.
Everybody brings a skill. That's the beauty of CERT.
Okay, so CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. It is a federally standardized program that trains citizen volunteers in first response skills. Some of those units include disaster preparedness. You'll learn about fire safety and fire extinguisher training, light search and rescue, disaster medical operations, communications, disaster psychology, and terrorism. In addition to the basic curriculum, there are supplemental trainings that go with the CERT program. Some of those include animal response, traffic control, and other trainings. Next slide. So a little bit of background about the CERT history. Back in 1985, the LA Fire Department developed the CERT program. During that time, they were deployed to Mexico City to help with a severe earthquake. At the time, a lot of civilian volunteers, spontaneous volunteers, came to help with the search and rescue. They were credited in helping over 800 people to save 800 people's lives during that search and rescue mission.
I don't know what happened, guys, but I'm back.
Okay.
We're going to start over. I got kicked off. Okay. There you go, Jean.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, in West Virginia, there's about 8 active CERT programs serving in the state. You can see a list of those programs if you go to our preparedness website, which is called ready.wv.gov. Next slide. And in West Virginia, the CERT program is funded through the Department of Homeland Security. That funding sponsors trainings, materials, and resources that CERT programs might need. Next. Over the last decade, CERT programs in West Virginia have helped plan for, prepare for, and respond to disasters in their communities. Especially during this last year, CERT volunteers were critical in helping their communities respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're going to hear now from some of those local programs.
Thanks, Gina. So like Gina said, we're going to be interviewing 3 programs today from across the state. And the first program we're going to talk with today is Beckley CERT. So Beckley CERT is a really active program in the southern part of the state. And we're just going to share a few of our favorite pictures. They have been busy the past year helping with COVID vaccination clinics. And they also help out in a variety of ways when COVID isn't happening, which you'll see on the next slide. They do all kinds of interesting exercises and activities to get prepared. So here's some pictures of them helping at a local airport disaster exercise. So it is my honor to interview our special guest from Beckley CERT, and we have Lieutenant Chris Graham joining us today. He is the Beckley CERT program coordinator. He has been with that program for a long time. And I'm also really happy to share that Chris was named the Beckley Fire Department Firefighter of the Year this year. So congratulations and welcome, Chris.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So how did it feel to get named the Beckley's Firefighter of the Year this year?
It was an honor because the way they do that is my shift nominates me. And then we go before the Chamber of Commerce and they do an interview. And then that's how they choose the winner of the 4 shifts. But with COVID this year, everything just seemed a little bit extreme and a little bit more of a challenge. And we worked really hard this year, and I was honored to receive that award.
Wow, that's amazing. I know you've been involved in Beckley CERT for quite a while. So how long have you been the program coordinator of that program, and how did you get started?
This will start my 7th year. Our retired chief started the CERT program, and then when he left, they asked somebody else to take it over, and me and Lieutenant Terry Fisher took the program over and took the training to do it. And I'm on my 7th year now, and it's been a blessing. I've really enjoyed it.
Wow. Why do you feel, Gina did a great introduction to CERT and why it's so important to train volunteers. Why do you feel CERT is so important for your community?
For us, it's really good because it gets us out, and there's so many people who want to help and want to do good. It seems like all you ever do is hear about the negative in life, but there's so many positives. And we give people the training and the confidence to go out and feel that they can help people make a positive impact in the community. And they can do it safely, and it's a great program.
So when someone signs up for Beckley CERT, what kind of trainings do they receive as a volunteer?
For us, we do the 8 week, we break the program up into 8 weeks, and it's every Thursday night. And we usually start after Labor Day. And then after the basic class, I'm a CPR instructor. So I give everybody a CPR card and first aid card. And then I'm very fortunate with the fire department. I'm a state fire school instructor. So we did a hazmat awareness class. One of the gentlemen on my CERT team, Jerry Johnson, he has search and rescue dogs. He has canines that goes out. So our chief, when there's someone missing in Raleigh County and they activate Jerry will call us. We can go out and assist in search and rescues. We have a very good relationship with our 911 center. So that's how we got invited to the airport drill. And that was just an amazing day. It was, I had CERT members playing victims inside the plane, and I did not know they were going to spray water. They got about 5,000 gallons of water dumped on them, and it was about 50 degrees outside. But everyone still had a good time, and it worked out.
Wow, that's amazing. What are your volunteers like? What's their biggest takeaway from being a CERT volunteer?
I think the pride and feeling they're doing some good in the community and helping other people.
Yeah, I think it kind of goes on what you're saying, that often we only hear about negative things, and it seems like CERT is really special because it helps you make a positive impact, and you can really help when people need it the most.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So that's really interesting, and I know you've been helping a lot over the past year with the COVID recovery. Can you share what your CERT volunteers did to help during COVID and kind of what that experience was like?
Sure. Last summer, the Raleigh County Health Department and the 911 Center, they were starting to do the testing, and they needed help. And the 911 Center told the health department, hey, we've got a group of people, the CERT volunteers, and they will help you. So we started out and we were helping with the testing, which putting on a suit and the mask and the gloves and all that in 80-degree weather it could be a little bit, you felt like you're getting shrink wrapped in that outfit. But we were able to help, and I had so many people wanting to do something to help, and that was a great way for us to get our foot in the door and help. And then as the testing turned into vaccinations, we were right there to help with the vaccination drives.
So I think it's easy to think about testing now, but probably at the time that was a pretty scary experience and kind of intimidating to be out in the cold giving COVID tests, at such an uncertain time. What kept you going and motivated you to help during these very challenging and hard situations?
I think for the most part, me, myself, and the other people on the team, it was our only way to get back to normal. Mm-hmm. We were facing this, you couldn't really see COVID. You could see the effects of it, but everything was shut down and people were scared. And it was just our way of say, hey, we can fight this together and get our lives back.
I know Gina shared an interesting story that at the time it was so cold when you were doing those COVID testing sites that she had to send you hats in the mail.
She did. She bought us toboggans because we were all about to freeze to death.
What advice would you give a volunteer who's interested in helping during emergencies and disasters?
Always, when I teach CPR and first aid and when I do the CERT, always, if you can help someone, try to help them. But just make sure you're safe, because if you become injured in the process, then the first person isn't getting any help at all, and then there's two people hurt. So I see so many times something will happen and people are afraid to react and they're afraid to help. But if you can help someone, it's a good idea to just jump in there and try to help. Yeah.
Do you remember where you got your drive to be a helper in your community, where that came from?
I truly believe we all have gifts, and I think God puts us where he sees us fit to use our gifts. And I've been a firefighter I'm starting my 20th year. I finished my 20th year in October, and I've been with the CERT program for 7 years, and it's right where I needed to be, helping my community and being a part of it and doing some good in my little corner of the world, as I like to say.
That's remarkable. Do you have a favorite story it can either be from firefighting or from your CERT team? Is there a favorite story that you have that you'd like to share with us?
I just know, even when we had a high of 12 degrees and all of our vaccination drives were outside. So if it was raining, we were soaking wet. If it was snowing, we were cold. But at the end of every day, no matter how hard the day was, my CERT team always smiled. We're always happy to be there. And the people we helped vaccinate, they were so happy. You had so many people, they hold up signs thanking us for being out there. You'd see little old ladies crying because they were so thankful to get the first vaccine. It was a very good thing, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it.
Wow. It seems like during COVID, it was just such a difficult time that I know I didn't really pause to reflect on the past year. So it's just really wonderful to hear these stories from you and to be able to look back at all you and your volunteers have accomplished during COVID and during CERT. Just to close us out, do you have any future plans for your CERT team, or what are you going to do now that we're getting a little bit more back to normal?
Last year we did not have our basic class. So this year in September, we're going to have our basic class again. Tomorrow we're doing a search and rescue training where we're going to learn how to use a compass on a map in case we're out in the woods and we get lost. I just look forward to training with my team and spending time with them and doing things like that, getting back to normal.
If anyone's interested in your September training, where should they look to find more information?
We have a Beckley CERT Facebook page. They are more than welcome to add me as a friend on my personal page. It's Chris Graham, and my cell phone number is on the contact info. Please call me or text me anytime.
Well, thank you, Chris. You're such a wonderful person. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and I can tell you're really special, and congratulations on receiving the award as Beckley's Firefighter of the Year this year.
Thank you very much, and you have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you, Chris. That was an awesome conversation, and we have two more special guests with us today. And it's important to point out that these CERT members are volunteers too. So if you think of someone volunteering 7 years to run a CERT program, it's probably really remarkable. So we are really lucky to have Hardee County CERT with us as our next program. And just to share a few moments from their CERT program, you can see how they really shifted over the past year. And here's some pictures of their CERT volunteers delivering meals during the pandemic, which is something that they probably never expected they were going to do, which is pretty remarkable. And just to share a few more pictures, CERT members also go out in the community and they teach emergency preparedness when it's not an emergency. So here's a really nice picture of members from Hardee County at a local event. And then joining us today, we have a CERT volunteer and program coordinator, Fran Welton. Fran, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Are you with us?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound perfect.
Wonderful. Yes, I'm here. And the two photographs that you saw, 3 photographs, have to do with 3 different programs. One represents our participation in our annual yearly Hardee County Health Fair. And so we always have a display and hand out particularly the family emergency preparedness little booklet and review that with people. And then this photograph is of my husband without a CERT shirt on and one of our CERT members. And we had last summer in May for, I can't remember, I think it was EMT month, but we had, it was at Moorfield High School, and we had this display there participating in the all-county emergency day. And so we had fire departments and forestry service and police officers and scouts and a lot of different organizations represented that day. And all of them had to do with families being prepared, basically. This photograph of me was a program at our Eastern West Virginia Community and Technical College where we brought all the school children to the college and had a lot of different people participating and displaying. And so we gave out, again, the family emergency preparedness booklets and tried to encourage people, particularly young people, take them home, review them with the family members, and help the families set up their family plans and encourage them to practice that plan. We just participated this 2 weekends ago with at Brighton Park here in Moorfield, and it is a joint 2 counties, Grant and Hardee County, come together through the Family Issues Task Forces in each county, and we had over 400 people to participate in Celebrate the Family that ran from 10 o'clock Saturday morning until 1 o'clock, and lunches furnished free by the local Lions Club. And so we had a display there and gave out 100 of the CERT backpacks, drawstring bag, whatever you want to call them. And we, again, emphasized to the family members to please participate, and to the children, we encouraged them to practice making an emergency telephone call to 911 and emphasize, do not hang up until they tell you to. So those are some of the activities that we've been involved with on an annual or yearly basis, and so we found other ways during the CERT year to be involved. What amazed me is how many entities came together in our Tri-County area, Grant, Hardin, and Pendleton County, to address the needs. And one of the things that everybody was really concerned about in the beginning was that everybody would have adequate food or be able to get food or be able to get their medication. And so I have a number of different groups lists in my email. So I just sent an email out to our CERT team and to other entities asking people if they would be willing to volunteer and help out in any way. What we ended up concentrating on was we contacted and got in touch with the school, the senior center, the local emergency or the local food bank, and the Ministerial Association to see what we could do to organize and have enough food going every place, and what are they doing so we're not duplicating. And we also called the health department to volunteer with their immunization pods that they had set up. But the health department was so very well organized. Some of the vaccines were given out from a regional point of view, so people came from Mineral, Hampshire, Grant, Hardin County to Hardin County, and we had mass immunizations where they would immunize 400 and 500 people in a day. And so all the health departments did that, and they had their own group of volunteers. So CERT was not involved in the immunization pods. But what we did do, we contacted the Ministerial Association and asked if they would be willing to field phone calls for people needing help with going to the grocery store or getting their grocery orders filled. So with that, they agreed that Moorfield Presbyterian Church would field the phone calls. They have a secretary, so every 5 days a week from 9 in the morning until noon, somebody was to answer the phone, and then we used my own personal phone number. And we came up with a list of information that we need from those phone calls. And once the secretary took that information, she would reach out to a CERT. And we had CERT stations in Hardin County that would field those phone calls, take those phone calls. We also did a search throughout the county to see if grocery stores would be willing to do in-house grocery shopping, so that if I called Wardensville, as an example, the Kerr grocery store would take my list over the phone. I would give them my credit card or debit card number to pay for it, and then the CERT that is located in Wardensville would go pick that up and then deliver it where it needed to be delivered, or they would go to the grocery store themselves and do the actual shopping. Now, they would have to go to the person's house to pick up this credit or debit card and go to the store, get the groceries, and pay for it. And it was very successful. And so we ended up with other volunteers from the communities rather than just our CERT people as well. And the outcome of that has been we still have CERTs that are still helping people that have had underlying issues, not knowing it until after they had the COVID vaccine, and now they're needing help with getting to and from the doctor, with getting their groceries shopping done, can't drive anymore because their sight. And so we still have volunteers that are working and helping out in those particular areas.
Wow, Fran, that is amazing. Sorry
does anybody have any questions?
That is a lot that you've accomplished, and that's pretty remarkable. And I really love how you kind of shifted your program to help deliver meals during the pandemic. I heard that you are known as grocery gophers because you would take food.
Yes, yeah.
You have a favorite story from delivering a meal that you like to share?
Well, I had a lady to call me. It was forwarded from the church to me, and I called her, and I got her grocery list, and the learning experience was I did not know what brand of canned chili, Hormel, no, that wasn't it, Armor, maybe, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, never thinking, so I pick up chili, I pick up the fruit, I picked up all these canned vegetables and get them to her. Well, as it turns out, that was one of the little things on the list that we forgot to mention to our volunteers, that when they give you your grocery list, make sure that you have the brand name for each item. She was very kind and very nice and very understanding, and I offered to take the food back and exchange it for what she wanted, but she said no, that was all right. And then she insisted on tipping, and I kept telling her, no, we don't tip. This is a service to you. Please, no. Anyway, so what we decided to do, if people did insist on giving a tip, we would go ahead and give it to the Ministerial Association. But, yeah, I never felt so sorry for anybody in my life when I'd take all our groceries to her, and half of it's not what she really is used to eating. But all in all, it has worked really, really well. And what is interesting, some of the CERTs or some of the volunteers that decided they wanted to join in this effort had already been helping other people and just continued to do it and just added more people to their list. We had a group of ladies in Moorfield that when the mask shortage started in the very beginning of the COVID situation, they started making masks, and so we were able to also help connect people that wanted masks and had no access to masks to that group of people. And so that worked out. So it was just a lot of networking and a lot of different entities involved. And so what we want to do now, we came up with a form also for the volunteers to keep their hours and their mileage. And so what we want to do through the Office of Emergency Management with the CERT program is try to accumulate all that, those statistics and information and recognize everybody with a certificate of participation.
Oh, that's wonderful. I want to ask you a question. This made something come to mind. So there's a volunteer mystery, and everyone always asks us where to find volunteers. And it sounds like you found so many people that wanted to help during the pandemic. So what's your secret? How do you find these volunteers in your community?
Well, I guess I have really been lucky. I worked at Grant Memorial Hospital for 20 years in 3 counties. Okay, I did a lot of managing a lot of grants and did a lot of coordination, work with the Family Issues Task Force, which they're very, very active over here in the Eastern Panhandle. And so all you have to do, really, I have found, is just explain what the issue is, and is anybody doing this, or is anybody involved, or would anybody like to help? And it's just amazing the number of people that will come forth and the talent that is out there to, and generally if I make, somebody will call and give me a number and you make 2 or 3 phone calls and you end up getting the resource or the person involved or whatever it is that you need. So it's been very, very easy. And I shouldn't say this because it might jinx me, but so many times when we're working on projects and going out and finding resources, I'm always telling them, I'm here borrowing, and this side of stealing, I need your help. And divide it out so that if you need $1,000 and you're going to the banks, divide it out so each bank's paying the equal amount. Or if you need goodies for your bag, you make a list of the goodies that each bank has, the good resources banks, and find all those little favors. And I have only been refused one time in all the years that I have done volunteer work. And the same thing has been with the CERT, with their CERT members when they're involved in anything, and they go out and do the same thing. And it's just amazing how generous people are when you can just lay it on the line and tell them what you need and ask them how they can help.
Wow, that's wonderful. Totally. Ask and you shall receive. I think that's one of the biggest secrets to recruiting volunteers and getting donations. And it's been really wonderful hearing all the ways you helped over the past year. I mean, it's phenomenal. And just to close out our conversation, I would love to hear, why do you feel volunteering so important?
You know, America was founded on volunteerism. I think we're the only nation in the whole world that has a history, a strong history of volunteering. And I think when we look around our communities, irregardless of how bad the situations are, it seems like there's a small force of people that will come forth and then encourage others to join in to accomplish whatever the need is. And I really think part of it is just the human spirit. I think everybody is willing to get involved and we're willing to help. Sometimes they may just need some encouragement to be invited to come and help. But yeah, I think the volunteerism is there. I think it's very strong. And I was just, when I look at everything that came together here in Hardy County and the Tri-County area, how when I look at the pods that were set up for the immunizations, I look at how smoothly everything ran. I look at how restaurants, I look at how individuals pay for food and sent food and no charge whatsoever for anything that they furnished. We had one lady that had retired from the school system years ago, and she spent one whole evening and the whole next morning and cooked a huge meal. When I was told what she brought to the health department for those volunteers, I was absolutely amazed that one woman could cook that much food by herself and take to the health department. And the outpouring of that type of support has just been overwhelming. It really has. I sometimes think we should have given everybody more credit for what they've done, but because I think there's a lot more out there that was done that we may never, ever know about because people just went about very quietly doing their thing to help out.
Definitely. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Fran. I can tell you're the type of person that brings everyone together. And you're such an inspiration, and I've really enjoyed hearing your stories today. And thank you so much for the countless hours that you spent helping during the pandemic and all the people that you brought on board to help. So it's been really wonderful speaking with you.
Thank you very much. But I have to help Gina. I honestly do, because I probably was one of these certain individuals that's late with reports, that always needs additional information, or only give her half of the information that she needs. But I can honestly say working with Gina over these years has been absolutely wonderful. I don't know what we'd do without her.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. I know Gina appreciates that. So have a good day today, Fran. And if you've been inspired by Fran's stories and you'd like to help out in Hardy County, you can see her contact information up on the screen.
Thank you very much. And I'm enjoying this program. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Fran. You're so sweet. So we have one more guest joining us today, and this is the Clay County CERT program. And just to introduce them, here are a few pictures of the countless volunteers they've worked with. helping with COVID testing over the past year, and helping in a variety of ways, from COVID testing to local blood drives. And they've even continued to help, you'll see in the next picture, with flooding during COVID. So even during a disaster, disasters keep happening. So that's why we're so lucky to have CERT volunteers to help. So I am so happy to introduce our next guest, Aiden Taylor. I love Aiden. He's a good friend of mine, and I'm really happy to chat with him. So welcome, Aiden.
Hello. Glad to be here.
Hello. Aiden, I love your story. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're at in your life and how you got involved with CERT?
Sure. So I would say that it was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I started to notice the gaps of our community, some of the things, especially considering that Clay's low income, has a really small population. There were a lot of unmet needs, not only that our community had, but the agencies that serve our community. So I worked with the local fire department, and we started Clay County CERT as a small program. And then since then it's grown, and now we have multiple divisions and sub-programs that work in multiple different areas of the community. And really they make a difference in the lives, not only of our citizens, but also of the people who serve our citizens.
Wow. And how did you first get introduced to CERT? Do you remember how you found it?
So I was doing, I saw a small placard on a bag that someone had and it said CERT. And I noticed that it was in all caps, and I wasn't sure what it stood for. So I went and did a quick Google search and, found FEMA's website and ready.gov information about, what the CERT program was, and started looking further into it. I was like, wow, this is a really great program. So kind of started I didn't know how it would work real well in our community. So I live in a small neighborhood that's kind of kept to ourselves, and we communicate with our neighbors frequently. So I got with a couple of them and asked, kind of did a survey, and I said, if this were to be a program, would you participate? And, got some information, a two-way communication there to see what they thought, and talked a little bit more about it. And I talked with a couple of other people, and everybody just really loved the program. And, I really liked the idea and mission purpose behind the organization itself, not only on the state, local level, but also federally. So we worked with our local fire chief, Mike Scott. He's our finance and training director, and got the program started. And then, here we are 3-4 years later, and working hard with multiple different organizations and different programs throughout the community.
That's amazing. And Aiden, I just have to say, how old, okay, I don't want to say how old you were, but how old were you when you started your CERT program? Because I just have to let everyone know, because this is a really cool part of your story.
I think when I first started, it was probably a year after, once we actually got officially instated. We worked a lot to make sure that as soon as we could be operational, we were fully operational. But I would say that as far as the research, I started when I was about 14. And then by the time that our organization was operational for a while, I was 15. So I've been doing it for a little while now. I'm 17, almost turning 18, and I've loved every minute of it. And it gives me a different perspective. A lot of our community is an older population, so it gives me two different perspectives to look at. We have all of these people who are adults that are looking in, but also taking this younger perspective and being able to work more in with, the youth and teen community. That's actually sort of what inspired our teen and youth division, which is a subsection of our organization that strictly works in our schools to engage students and young children in not only emergency preparedness, but also learning about how to volunteer and providing them opportunities that they can volunteer safely with their parents.
Wow, that gave me goosebumps hearing that you started CERT when you were 14 years old. It's just so amazing, and goes to show you can do anything at any age. So I'm really curious, can you share a little bit about how your CERT volunteers helped during COVID-19?
Yeah, so COVID has lasted a long time, as we all know. So what we were doing has progressed, since the beginning to the end. We actually just started deoperationalizing for COVID here in the past couple of weeks. So we're starting to, take those links off of our website, and it's going back now that it's falling to a normal type of issue that our health department's managing on their own. But originally, when we started, Clay County CERT has a very intricate technology working. We actually partner with Google, and we provide all of our coordinating or administrative level volunteers a Google Workspace account that we pay for, or they pay for themselves, so that they're able to create PowerPoint slides, create different social media posts, email back and forth with organizations. So the very first task that we took on as an organization to support the COVID mission was creating testing graphics that our health department used to advertise when they were holding testing drives. We also worked with them to get out in the community with our threat preparedness coordinator from the health department, and we spread information as well as supplies. That we started a program called Local Resource Stockpile, and we took in mask donations, created the volunteer masks that are made with the air filters. We had a bunch of volunteers in the community that made those, and we stockpiled, organized all of those, and inventoried them and distributed them to the community. And then, as it progressed, the testing aspect was becoming large, where we were holding, 2-3 testing events every week. And the health department, not only were they managing testing, but they were also managing a countywide, statewide, and national, pandemic. So they had a lot on their plate. They have a few amount of staff. So we were supporting them with supplying 1 or 2 volunteers at each of their testing drive-throughs that helped with registration, setup, cleanup, and then any help with traffic control as necessary. And then that went from everywhere on top of Maysel Park, which was out in sort of the middle of nowhere where it's very cold and outside, all the way to in the middle of our street at the health department. And then, fast forward a couple of months, we get a vaccine. We were working with the health department. Now they're back to just doing a regular vaccine model at the high school and at the health department, doing vaccine clinics. We even went to a couple of nursing homes and helped them with vaccine clinics as well, where we're doing setup, cleanup, registration, traffic control as necessary. And we also helped a lot with their logistics of bringing in all of the supplies that they needed, transporting them back out in vehicles, so that they were able to come, suit up and vaccinate people and not have to worry about everything that fell in line before that.
That is remarkable. And we are so proud of everything you've done. You've gotten a lot of nice comments in the chat box. And Christina says, Aiden for president 2024. So we're rooting for you. We can't wait to see what your future holds at Volunteer West Virginia. And just to wrap up our conversation, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who's interested in volunteering in their community, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so one thing that we try and do is to make sure that, as much information as necessary is available to our community members that we serve in Clay. So reach out to someone in your community that can help. So if you're in Clay, reach out to us. We have a volunteer services division, and they'll help you find a volunteer opportunity, or work with our disaster response section. Find someone who knows somewhere or something or someone who can help you, because really and truly, the whole basis of volunteering is community, and you kind of have to make your own little volunteer community to get out there and do more to help your community. It's a full circle.
That's perfect. Well, thank you, Aiden. I've loved talking with you, and we're always cheering you on. And thanks for being such a positive influence in West Virginia.
Yes.
So if you're interested in joining Aiden's CERT program, here is his contact information on the screen. Be sure to write that down. And Gina mentioned that Clay County is holding a CERT training soon. So if that's something you'd like to get involved in, it would be a perfect time to start. And just to close out our time together, it's been really wonderful hearing from these 3 organizations and volunteers. I know it's really boosted my battery. So Gina's going to give us a few more ways you can volunteer during a disaster if you'd like to help out. So here you go, Gina.
Okay, hi. So there's several other ways you can get involved during disasters if you like. Everyone's familiar with the Red Cross. They have a variety of ways that you can help. Everyone knows about their blood drives, and they certainly could use help with that. But they also have other disaster volunteer opportunities like helping respond to home fires, distributing meals or supplies during disasters. Also with their shelter operations, like during the derecho when it was real hot and all the electricity was out in half of the state, a lot of people had to go to cooling stations, and they need help from volunteers to staff those stations. Also, there's something called VOAD. It's the Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. There's the national chapter, and then there's a West Virginia chapter. And you can go to either of those websites, wvvoad.org or nvoad.org, and to see how you can get involved. VOAD is it's an association of member organizations such as the Red Cross, faith-based organizations, and other nonprofits who are actively responding to disasters. Some of the things those organizations may be involved with are like muckouts and cleanups after flooding, or rebuilds and repairs of homes, or debris removal, or things such as that, or even meal distributions. So check that out. There's also programs like the National Neighborhood Watch, which most of you are probably familiar with. It's a safety and crime prevention program. Fire Corps is a type of volunteer program that supports local fire departments. And if you want to see a list of all these and other disaster volunteer links, you can go to our main website, ready.wv.gov, and click volunteer, and then you'll see the whole list of disaster volunteer organizations that you can inquire or affiliate with. And if you have any questions, you can also contact me at gina.l.namey@wv.gov. One more slide. And so if you are interested in taking CERT training for your own personal benefit, put your name and email in the chat box. If you're interested in starting a program in your community, you can contact me, like I said, at my email. And I can also type it in the chat box, and we'll talk more about that. Briefly, I can say that a CERT program, in order to start one in your community, you have to have sponsorship from a local first response agency, like your fire department or your county emergency management department or your local health department. So the details of that are a little bit more complicated than we can do on this webinar. So if you're interested, please call me. I'll be glad to talk to you about that. Any questions or thoughts, or maybe anything that
if you have any questions for our panelists, Gina, I see that Tammy is interested in the CERT training. So if you all are interested in the CERT training, be sure to put your email address in the chat box and sign up for our upcoming webinars. Holly asked Gina if there are any meetings for coordinators being planned. So Gina, maybe you can.
Can you hear me? Yes, Holly, we can talk about that. There's no upcoming meetings that we're planning, but we certainly can do one if that would be beneficial to program coordinators.
Thanks, Gina. So it's been such a treat to have so many guests today, and I've really enjoyed hearing from Pam and Chris and Aiden, and I want to thank you all again for working so hard over the past year, and I'm sure everyone on this webinar is a helper as well. So thank you for helping and for being such a positive influence. Be sure to take our feedback survey in the chat box, and then it looks like Gina has one more thing she wants to share with us before we leave.
I do. I just wanted to thank our guests again and tell them how much I appreciate all the work they do in their communities, helping prepare and plan for disasters, helping during COVID, with testing, with clean, helping in all the ways that they did during the pandemic, and partnering with the Red Cross to help where they needed extra help cleaning up and being more safe during the pandemic so they could hold those necessary blood drives during this time period. So really these volunteers are critical during disaster times to help their communities to be more resilient. So I just wanted to say thank you again.
All right, so with that, we're just going to give you one more second to grab those links in the chat box, and we hope to see you all next month for our next Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday.
And thank you, everybody. Keep up the good work. Wonderful programs. Bye.
Bye, Fran. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for attending.
Everyone enjoy the pretty day. Have a good day.
Yes.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
I'm going to give it a couple more moments in case anybody's clicking those links for our feedback survey or our sign up. We have so much fun with Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday, and it's so nice to meet new people on each of the different topics because it just shows the diversity of volunteer programs that we have across West Virginia. And we even had some people on here today from other states who were interested in what we do in West Virginia, which was really awesome. All right, guys, it looks like everybody's had a chance. I'll go ahead and send out a follow-up email too from everyone who registered. We're going to put this recording on YouTube in case you want to share it with anyone. And we will send out the feedback survey and the slides as well. So I hope everyone has a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.